The Crooked Epic, 1 in 1. The Inn of Maniacal Madness, 4. Ted, The Cave, 4A, 3. In the bedroom behind the partially closed door, Ted heard dishes being washed and food being stored from downstairs in the kitchen where Mrs. Wilson tidied up. After 7 o'clock, he was already tired enough to get into bed. The storybook, the horror story-themed one, which Alex had lent to him, kept Ted awake for almost a whole hour before he fell asleep. He was exhausted, but extremely worried about his brother. Ted awoke from deep but forgotten sunken dreams in the middle of the night. It seemed as though there had been a noise that startled him, and he could not fall back asleep, so he lay on his back, staring up at the ceiling above and looking at moonlight streaming through the window curtains. The time slipped by in surreal waves of consciousness and memory, scenes of dreams and sounds of the night. Their home seemed peaceful, even though he could not sleep. After turning on his stomach over to his side, he turned and looked over at the clock, which said 3 a.m. Ted decided to get up out of bed to use the latrine. It was quiet upstairs. He saw the guest room where Mrs. Wilson was sleeping, and Ted hesitated for only a moment while he made sure they were still asleep. He walked to the backyard latrine. The cool night air struck at the nape of his neck and cheekbones. The light from the moon was obscured. When he was finished, he felt hungry, and before he was back to his bedroom, he decided to get food. In the kitchen, without turning any downstairs lights on, Ted began preparing a small half of a sandwich using 1 piece of bread instead of 2, leftover turkey and cheese, and he poured a big glass of milk from the refrigerator. When he was done, he set the dishes into the sink as quietly as he could, and he benignly noticed a tall man was lurking in the dark near the barn. The observation, in quick hindsight, caused Ted to jump, and he stepped back from the kitchen window, trying not to be seen. A dog barked somewhere to the west of the property, and he leaned back to look out of the pantry window but saw nothing outside. When he looked back to the yard near the barn, the spot where he had seen the man was now empty. Although he knew his father would be able to offer an immediate protection, he somehow had an inherent fear that the forces from Hob could invade and possibly conquer his home. When he was sure that whatever he had seen and heard was gone, he stood taller against the window pane, but he still felt more than unsafe. To keep from being seen, he stayed motionless for 5 agonizingly long minutes in the darkness of the kitchen. Finally, he strayed back to the dining room, convincing himself it may have been his eyes playing tricks on him, and that he should return to bed. Even though the forest and backyard were eerily quiet, Ted hardly slept for the remainder of the night, haunted by awful dread and fear for his brother's welfare. He had planned on performing reconnaissance but gave up in exhaustion and fear. He tossed and turned in bed until sunrise.